It was the spring of 1916. Woodrow Wilson is president, and Pancho Villa is causing havoc in the Southwest. On his 24th birthday, a young man named Fred Jones stepped off a Rock Island train near the Skirvin Hotel in downtown Oklahoma City, fresh from Tennessee.
In 1916, when Fred Jones first came to Oklahoma City, he came to a boomtown. From 1900 to 1910, Oklahoma City had been the fastest growing city, not in the state, but in the nation. 640% growth in one decade. It had gone from a little prairie trade town with a couple of railroads to 5 trunk lines to major manufacturing, to be in the center of the agricultural business on the southern plains with 2 packing plants on the west side, south side of Oklahoma City, skyscrapers like the Concord building going up and the old Pubco building on 4th Street and Broadway, streetcars going off in each direction. By 1916, Heritage Hills was already 14 years old. People had already started building the grand mansions that you see in there, the Overholser home, the old Hales place. And by 1916, we already had the capital moved to Oklahoma City, so the northeast side was developing. So all of this was happening when Fred Jones came on the railroad, got off, and looked at this town out here on the prairie. It seemed like anything was possible, and a lot of people were attracted to this. It was a town that really was fueled by hope and economic development of this new frontier that had just been opened to non-Indian settlement only in 1889. We'd only been a state since 1907. So it's like coming onto the stage of the first act of this play that's unfolding on the southern plains. And obviously, he liked what he saw, because he said, this is where I'm going to invest my talent, my capital. This is part of my dream. So like others, he came to Oklahoma City and added to the fabric of these leaders who said, yes, we're going to build a major city.
Fred Jones would quickly make a name for himself at the new Ford Motor Company assembly plant in downtown Oklahoma City. He had a sharp and focused mind with the determination, courage, and hard work to build a new life for himself in this area that had only been a state for less than a decade.
I think Fred Jones is a good example of the innovator who deals with challenges, bumps up against a challenge that says, no, you can't, and looking for opportunities at the same time. And it started with his application for a job at this brand new assembly plant that Henry Ford himself had selected the site, said, you will build one of my assembly plants here in the Southwest in this booming area. Well, Fred Jones wants to work there. Well, they say, sorry, we don't have any positions. And so Fred Jones doesn't let that stop him. A lot of people say, well, I'll go look for something else. He said, I'll work for free for 2 weeks. If you like me, fine. They hired him, became a timekeeper, came to the attention of the management, and was in the right place at the right time to get his first dealership. After World War I, he then took a troubled dealership in Blackwell and turned it around. Ford people are noticing this, the people at the plant. Henry Ford, who would have been looking at the results around the country, says, this young man knows what he's doing. Bring him back to Oklahoma City, where he acquires a dealership in Oklahoma City and starts expanding.
He bought the Oklahoma City Ford dealership in 1922. In 4 years, he would be the largest dealer in the Southwest United States.
He says, okay, what will differentiate me from my competitors?
He established all-day and all-night service 7 days a week, which was unprecedented for its time.
He provides installment buying. He is one of the first to be very aggressive with advertising. And so this innovator, overcoming the challenges to get a job, to win the confidence with the dealership, to work hard enough to turn it around, to get his opportunity back in Oklahoma City.
Soon, Fred Jones Ford would be the 4th largest Ford dealer in the nation.
Well, by the 1950s, he owns dealerships across the country and is the #1 Ford dealer in the entire United States by the 1950s.
In 1938, Fred Jones set up a small area in his service department to recondition engines and component parts. This began the Fred Jones Manufacturing Company. Today, what is now known as Fred Jones Enterprises still distributes Ford parts to a large portion of the U.S. At a 50th anniversary tribute, Henry Ford II, chairman of the board of Ford Motor Company and grandson of the founder, said this about Fred Jones. Over the half-century of Ford Motor Company's association with Fred Jones, my grandfather knew and admired him. My father, Edsel, did the same, and I have been happy to continue the family tradition. He is a rare blend of inventive, hard-driving, free enterpriser, and a sensitive, considerate humanitarian. Success continued to follow Fred Jones through the years. He greatly expanded the manufacturing company facilities and scope of operations. He gave much time, talent, and resources to his city, state, and nation during his long career. His family was growing up in the business. After the untimely passing of his son, Fred Jones Jr., his business legacy was carried on by his daughter, Mary Lynn, and her 3 sons, Fred Hall, Boots Hall, and Kirk Hall. They grew up in the business, learning from their role model the value of tenacity and hard work. Fred Jones always maintained his love for the manufacturing plant, calling it his Camelot. Now, Camelot is moving into its second act as the 21C Museum Hotel. It has been a massive undertaking. The 100-year-old building on the National Register of Historic Places contains 4 enormous floors. It all had to be taken down to the bare bones.
They're removing everything that's attached to the ceiling, to the walls, to the floors. If it's a office space, it goes. If it's electrical, it goes. If it's fire sprinklers, it goes. They're cleaning everything out from wall to wall and floor to ceiling. If it's existing, it's gone.
The building has a beautiful brick exterior with large windows providing abundant natural daylight. Albert Kahn was the original architect.
This is a real treasure. There's not many of these Ford manufacturing plants that are available nationwide, and to have one here and in really good shape. I mean, it needs to be cared for and it needs to be renovated, but it's in phenomenal shape. And to be able to put it back into service and to adaptively reuse it, I think that's a real opportunity for us to, as a city and for us just in general.
21C has boutique museum hotels in several U.S. cities.
Each 21C Museum Hotel is unique. We've done all historic rehabs with the exception of Bentonville, which was our only new construction. So with each property, we have an opportunity to sort of reimagine what 21C can be in that space. This is the first time we've had an opportunity to reimagine an industrial space like this with such great history and great bones, and we're really excited about the windows and the columns and just the scale and proportion of this building. The floor plates are so large that the rooms, once you factor in the column grid, the rooms end up being either extremely large or kind of long and skinny. And so we had to take a slightly different approach to the furniture layout in those rooms and try to create a space that was still warm and welcoming without feeling, too large or inappropriately scaled. And then we also cut light wells into the building to bring some daylight into the center of the floors and provide an opportunity to add some guest rooms that are interior light well facing rooms, and those are really unique rooms, and we're excited about the way those turned out.
What we tried to do was to maintain the characteristics of the space, so the, very large halls and the scale is obviously very different from a residential building, right? You don't see this 15-foot high ceiling like you have on the ground floor, or these oversized columns that of course make sense if you imagine cars being assembled and the weights that they have to support. And so our design is kind of a game of exposing as much as possible of the original nature of the building, but at the same time making a very exciting space for art display and for guests and for all of the activities that will take place in the museum hotel.
The artwork will change sporadically, creating new interest for local residents and an incredible experience for visitors. Downstairs is check-in, along with Mary Eddy's Kitchen and Lounge, named after Fred Jones' wife. The wide circular area in the middle will be used for events. Upstairs, 3 floors, 135 rooms, each unique.
We've been very fortunate to work with 21C and with the halls, because I think rarely do you have clients that sign on to a vision as radical as I think the vision for this building. So I think we're very grateful and excited about this collaboration.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime project. There are very few opportunities that we as architects get to work on projects of this magnitude, projects with clients like this. I think that's one thing that's really important is both Hall Capital and 21C, as far as clients go, they are phenomenal and they are really doing the right thing. What needs to be done for this building is paramount in our charge as architects and what we need to do to develop it with respect to the hotel. But the project is phenomenal and the clients are phenomenal, and it is truly a once-in-a-lifetime project.